Okay, just a quick summary of how I'm going to develop the film. There are other videos that you can watch that are going to be much longer that go through every step of the process, but this is just a kind of quick summary of basically what you need to develop the film. So you can buy packs off eBay of the chemicals, and what you do is you buy Ilfa Stop, Rapid Fixer, and that you need your stop and your fixer, and you need some developer. Okay, so you can get Rodinal developer, is really good. There's loads of others, but that's a great one to start with, and I've actually tried other developers and come back to Rodinal. So you buy these three. You can normally buy those together, not too expensive. I think it's 15 quid, 20 quid for those two, and then I can't remember how much this is now, 15 quid, something like that. So those are your three main chemicals. What's over here is just water, and then there's a thing called Adaflow, which is it almost seems like washing up liquid. You put a couple of drops in the water and it stops it leaving lines on your film at the very end when you do the wash. But basically what you do is you buy these three chemicals, and I'll forget the developer for a minute, and these are concentrated, so you mix up. It tells you on the label what to do, but it'll say like a certain amount of this, certain milliliters of this to water, and the same for this. And so you mix up your chemicals and you pour them into these, and then you keep them, and you only be using some of this, not all of it, only a little bit, and then the rest is water that goes in here. You do the same with this. Just concentrate, take a bit of this, pour it in here, fill the rest up with water, and it tells you on the bottle, on the label, how much you need to do to mix it. And then you never need these again, until you because you just reuse these over and over, and you've mixed them to the right amounts. So you just use these over and over and over. I probably don't bother to remix a fresh batch using the chemicals more than, I'll probably do like 20-30 rolls of film before I'll even think about it. I think you can just, there's tests you can do to check whether you need to replenish your chemicals, but if you start to get mixed results, then do it again. But anyway, right, so I pour out my stop bath, which was in here. Pour out my stop bath into here. I've done 600 because I've got 2 rolls of film in here, so it's about 300 milliliters for a roll of film. So 2 rolls of film, I'm going to do 600. So these contain about 700, 800 milliliters. So I poured out 600 into there of stop bath. And the stop bath, as I say, came from Ilfa Stop, and it's concentrate, and you kind of mix it all up. And then the fixer, 600 milliliters of fixer, which kind of smells a lot like vinegar. I think is essentially something a bit like vinegar, and that's in here. So I just pour it out up to 600, same as I did with the stop bath. So if you can pour chemicals from one bottle into a container, then you can develop film. And then the last one is basically water, but it's deionized water. You can use just water, but I found that deionized water, which you can buy from garages, and these are like 3 quid or something, it stops streaking and marking on the film. So you'll be using water to do your final wash at the end of the development process, but when you've finished all of that, then use, for the final kind of few minutes of wash, some deionized water, and that just stops all the streaking and things like that, especially when you put a few drops of Adaflow in here, and literally just a few drops. Those two, deionized water and Adaflow combined, seem to really help. And this is just my kind of process, how I do it. There are so many ways that you can develop film. Everyone's got their own process. So basically, those are my 3 chemicals, and then, but the one you start with is the developer. So I've got my Adaflow, and I use this app called the Big Massive Dev Chart, the Big Dev Chart, which I'll have an image come up now. But you basically pick the film that you want to develop. So say Tri-X, I'm going to treat this like 2 rolls of Tri-X because I'm going to try this experiment with the colour film. And you say I want to develop Tri-X, and you kind of have to know like 300 milliliters is 1 roll of film, and so double that, 600. But you say I want to develop a roll of Tri-X, it'll say, oh okay, yeah, you're gonna how many milliliters do you want to do, and you say 300 please, and then, or 600 in this case, and then it'll work it all out and say, okay, you need 23 milliliters of Rodinol, because you say what developer you're using, and you've got a great big list, every developer that's ever been made, and you find Rodinol on there. So you've picked your roll of film, and you've told it also what developer you're going to use, and you've told it, okay, I'm going to be doing basically 2 rolls of film, 600 milliliters, and it goes, okay, well, if you're doing that, you're using Tri-X film, you're using Rodinol, and you've got a dev tank of 600 milliliters, you do 2 rolls, then you will need 23 milliliters of Rodinol, and the rest is up to 6, because I want to go up to 600, so I'm just short of the differences there. So if I pour this in here, that brings that up to 600. So that's ready to be poured in here and start the process. And what you basically do, and this is where the app is just fantastic, is you press the button on the app to say I'm pouring the developer in, and it starts timing down, and it's like, say, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and it tells you during that process how many times to agitate the tank. So go like this with the lid on, obviously. If you don't want to use the lid, you can agitate by just turning like that. But every couple of minutes it'll say, okay, and it will beep at you for as long as you need to just twiddle this or agitate the tank. And then it'll get to say 6-7 minutes, and it's basically like, right, okay, the development's over, pour out the developer. So you pour the developer out down the sink, or dispose of it another way, and then it will go right on to step 2, stop bath. So step 2, stop bath, pour that in, and it'll go on for however long and say, you know, agitate, etc, etc, and then it'll say, okay, at the end of that it'll say step 3, do the fixer and pour that in, and then you go through that, and then it'll say at the end, okay, pour the fixer out, and then it'll go, okay, next step, do the water. You pour the water in and pour the water out. So you basically just follow the app, and it's telling you when to pour the different liquids into the tank and when to pour them out, and when the liquid is in there, it's telling you how often to agitate. So it just takes all the headache out of it, makes it really easy. So that's basically how I do it. And really, I think the hardest bit was when you first get these chemicals, so the rapid fixer and the stop bath, is just kind of reading the labels and going, oh, okay, that says, you know, I've got to mix it like 100 milliliters of this to however many milliliters of water, and making this up. But once you've made up your stop bath and your fixer from your rapid fixer and your Ilfa stop, once you've got these ready, and you just use these over and over and over and over, then it is as simple as just pouring out your chemicals like this before you start, and clicking go on the app and just following the app and what it says to do, and that's it really.